Top five.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Countdown, the #1 sports ranking show on YouTube. As you can see, we have a very special guest in the house. We got Mike from the Arizona Football Daily podcast giving us some facts about the NFL draft class. We got a stacked draft class in 2024. Great QBs all around the board, Brandon.
There are some quarterbacks in this class. There will be some really good day 2 picks. So also make sure to tune into the honorable mentions down in the comments. And make sure to like and double tap that subscribe button because we're coming back every single week with that top five.
Absolutely. So, Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, we know you talked to some scouts around the league. We know you talked to some high evaluators across the college landscape and in that Arizona market and everything. Obviously, you have a great podcast and a lot of credibility when it comes to the NFL drafts. We really want to hear who you got at number 5, starting us off with Jayden Daniels from LSU.
Well, Jayden Daniels was a recruit at Arizona State, and then he transferred. Obviously, he's in his second year with Brian Kelly, and really there's only 2 other quarterbacks when you look at Michael Pennix Jr. from Washington, and then obviously Caleb Williams. But he's averaging about 10.6 yards per attempt. That's very impressive. In the NFL, you'll see Patrick Mahomes maybe at 9.8. And obviously they're all running these spread offenses, but he's a guy that's gotten a lot better. I think he's benefited for one of his wide receivers when you start looking at it on paper. And Chip Kelly, Brian Kelly, when he went there, there was high expectations. Now, I don't know how many 1-loss or 2-loss teams are going to be in the finals, but you look at Malik Neighbors. He's a senior. He's really his #1 target, and he's really done a good job running the offense. And he was very immature at Arizona State. And the fact is, he's only 22 years old, okay? And he's got literally 4 or 5 years in playing college football, going to junior college and transferring to ASU. So I think he could be a flyer, maybe late first, early second round. But he has all the tools, and you could see he's getting better from when he was here in Arizona to where he is now.
Yeah, 100%. I think when he was recruited to Arizona State, Herm Edwards was the head coach. Obviously, things didn't work out with Herm Edwards, and he obviously transferred to LSU and is now with Brian Kelly, who also coached plenty of NFL caliber quarterbacks. Yep. And Jayden Daniels is also one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the college football landscape. But we've also seen him throw a really good deep ball this year and has just done all around a great job at the quarterback position. Like you said, he has Malik Neighbors out there, wide receiver, who's a top-notch wide receiver as a senior coming into the draft this year. So he has some good weapons, and he's done a good job of leveraging them and boosting LSU to being one of the best offenses in college football this season.
Yeah, you guys made a lot of good points about what he's done so far in college, but I think the most exciting part about Jayden Daniels is what he's capable of in the future, and that's exactly what NFL draft evaluators are looking for. It's what are they going to bring to the NFL, to the next level, and Jayden Daniels has shown he has the legs, he has the arm talent, he has a lot of potential to have a lot of success in the NFL, and it's only a matter of time until he either shows it or obviously has a struggle. But he's a type of player who, similar to we've seen, guys like Malik Willis or guys who have those tools, it might take him a year or 2 to reach that ceiling, but the ceiling is through the roof.
Yeah, he's not a day 1 starter. I mean, he's if you get drafted late first round, you're probably going to a good team that has a veteran quarterback. I think Malik Willis is a prime example, even though they did draft Will Levis. So, we'll see what the future there. I think if Tennessee's ready to move on from Ryan Tannehill. But yeah, what teams do is you're projecting what he can do at the next level. And, this quarterback class, Anthony Richardson won't be able to stay healthy in the NFL because the way he plays. I appreciate that. Small sample. Bryce Young, they needed to protect him. They need to get more receivers in there. I think that was an owner pick. If you're Frank Wright, and I know Josh McCown, I know Adrian Wilson, they're both in the front office. C.J. Stroud he's a lot bigger. And maybe these Ohio State quarterbacks don't get the credit, but I'm not really thrilled with this draft class. And, at the end of the day, we'll see who pans out. But this draft we're talking about in next year is night and day. But I think there's only a handful of guys that can start from day 1. Like, for an example, Baker Mayfield didn't start from day one. That was Tyrod Taylor. Josh Allen, Tyrod Taylor. Patrick Mahomes, it was Alex Smith. He played 1 game in Week 17. When the Cardinals drafted Kyler Murray, he stepped on the tarmac and they handed the keys to the car from him. He didn't have the benefit of sitting. He won 5-11-1 his first year, won Rookie of the Year. He's been to 2 Pro Bowls, and hopefully he gets back here in Week 8. So, ideally you want to sit. And they do have Andy Dalton there. And I thought when they played Seattle, the offense looked like Frank Reich's offense, but there's going to be growing pains here. But again, Ron Wolf, the longtime general manager, said you should draft a quarterback every year. And look what the Washington football team did in the Commanders. They drafted RG3 in the first round, and they got him drafting Kirk Cousins, and he became the franchise quarterback 2 years in a row. So more bites at the apple, better chances of succeeding in the NFL.
All right, so moving on to number 4, we got Quinn Ewers out of Texas, the 5-star, Brandon.
Yeah, guys that pay attention to college football's recruiting landscape, you would see that Quinn Ewers was the #1 recruit in the 2021 class.
Right.
Obviously, he started out at Ohio State and then transferred to his home school, Texas, and he's really taken over the reins and done a really good job this year. He didn't play his best in the Red River rivalry, but he still had a chance for his team to win. Obviously, Oklahoma drove down the field at the end of the game and won that game. But Quinn Ewers has the arm strength and he has the pizzazz. You see a lot of the sidearm throws from him, and you see a lot of just really good anticipation and just really good touch on the ball when it comes to him. And also, they also have Arch Manning in that quarterback room. So he beat out Arch Manning as well, who was the #1 recruit in this past recruiting class. So, I mean, Quinn Ewers he has the size, he has the arm strength. He obviously has been at the top of the pyramid, and he's trying to work his way back through there. And he's a really good job at Texas bringing them back to the stardom that they always have had.
100%. Mike, what's your thoughts on Quinn Ewers?
JJ and McCarthy didn't make those. I think McCarthy has better arm strength. Now, Quinn Ewers, he's right there with McCarthy. Both players have first-round arms, can make all the throws off platform. I think McCarthy's a better runner, but Ewers is a guy that can be more explosive in the offense. Now, he wasn't rushed typically a lot in the last Texas game, and he threw 2 interceptions. So he's a guy that needs to go to a good team with a good quarterbacks coach and sit for a while. But he changed his image, and it can't be easy when you got Archie Manning right behind you. I mean, Archie Manning is the prototypical 6'5" quarterback. He's not the son of Peyton Manning or Eli Manning. It's Cooper Manning, but he's a guy that had a chance to go to Tennessee. So it can't be easy. But I like what Sark said, Steve Sarkisian. He said basically, even when we struggle early on, he's still going to keep the job. So, but their future is right there with Sark and obviously Archie Manning. But I look at a team. He just can't go to a bad team that's expecting expectations right away.
Right, yeah. Quinn Ewers, a lot of potential. He's got Arch Manning right on his back, so he had to play at a high level, still keeping that starter role, still bringing Texas back into prominence, and it just shows the kind of potential he could bring to the next level as one of these top 5 draft classes. But you mentioned J.J. McCarthy, Mike, and that's exactly who we have at number 3 on this list. If you want to give us some more facts about JJ and his potential entering this upcoming draft.
Well, I mean, usually Michigan under Harbaugh, they're a team that obviously plays, they're really physical on defense, and they run the ball with, the running back Chrome, who actually got hurt last year, and he's going to be, hopefully it doesn't affect his draft status. But when you play for Harbaugh, you have that mentality where, it's us against the world. And I think he's improved not only with the passing game, but becoming a leader and really the face of that program right now. And, when he goes into these interviews, you're able to interview up to 30 prospects for about 10 or 15 minutes. When they put him on the chalkboard, in other words, they'll go back and watch all his film, completions and incompletions and intercept. What were you thinking here? I think he'll ace that test. And a lot of times, you can be as athletic as you can. A lot of times football is played above the shoulders. Can you process information? And if you can process information and be a leader, that goes a long way. When you're thinking, you can't react as fast. And that happens with a lot of draft picks, not only at the quarterback position, just normally because they're not comfortable. But I think he's comfortable. And let's also be honest, when you look at Georgia, you look at possibly Alabama and Michigan, they're running a pro-style offense, okay? So they're running it. So he should have a handle of the playbook. Now, a lot of people run the West Coast offense. We're seeing a lot of spread and read option. When it comes to RPOs, it's run pass option. You got the pistol, and then you got the zone read. And he can do all 3, and that's very important if you're for a guy that possibly could be a future starter. But he's a guy that I think he'll wow the interviews. and that he'll come across as a guy that you could, you don't have, if you're a general manager at night, you don't have to worry about your phone ringing after midnight.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about J.J. McCarthy is I could easily see him being a draft day riser, and especially because he has just continued to progress each and every single year at Michigan. And he also came in not starting at Michigan. Cade McNamara was the starter, and throughout the season, they kept throwing him in, J.J. McCarthy in more and more and more. And the main reason why is his versatility, his ability to run, and his ability to be effective in multiple different systems is really huge when it comes to the draft process.
Right. And we've seen J.J. McCarthy's struggles at throwing the deep ball, throwing some errant interceptions, not being able to handle pressure very well, which is definitely going to be something that he's going to have to prove at the next level. And we've seen how that can take down a quarterback stock. But Mike made a great point about the quarterback position specifically. Is neck up. It's such a huge factor in a quarterback's ability to succeed at the next level. And JJ has shown time and time again that he has those intangibles. He has that toughness, he has that leadership, and he has that clutch factor. And that's going to be what he's going to have to continue to prove throughout this season here at Michigan, especially when he has those games against Ohio State, against Penn State, maybe if they make the playoff in those games and be able to come through in adverse situations. But he's shown his ability to do that in the past. If he can continue to do that and take that to the next level, that's something that could really help him go in the first round and then have success at the next level as well.
Yeah. Also having a head coach that was a former NFL quarterback, and obviously a former NFL head coach has to also help him out throughout the draft process as they speak to other teams, and just helping them get prepared as well.
Right. So moving on to number 2, though, out of the University of North Carolina, Brandon, we got Drake Maye.
Drake Maye is just a great all-around quarterback. The thing that's deceptive about him is his legs. He runs really well, and he catches a lot of defenses off guard. And we talk about a quarterback that can make all the throws, does a great job with anticipation, puts the ball in the bucket repeatedly. He is that guy. He's doing a great job in Max Brown's system, and he's the main reason why UNC has been consistent for the last couple of years. Right. He has the ability to be the highest upside quarterback potentially in this draft, just based off his all overall tools.
Yeah, he's a guy who reminds me a lot of a former Duke quarterback, Daniel Jones, who's someone who has deceptive legs, someone who has the ability to run for those first downs and extend the play, run out of the pocket and just make plays that, the offensive coordinator isn't the one making those. And when it comes to Drake Maye and his arm talent, you see him make those different plays from different arm angles and pretty much can make any throw on the football field. He can throw dots down the left sideline, down the right sideline, through the middle, on out routes. Like, there's really nothing that he's incapable of doing. It's just about doing it consistently and doing it at a high level all the time. And so with Drake Maye, he's someone that you want to see make those progressions and make those reads and be able to read off safeties. That's probably the one spot in his game that he could improve on. And so unlike JJ, the big question for Drake Maye is just the intangibles and being able to read defenses and being able to come through time and time again in those clutch situations. So it's something we'll see over the course of the season and something that could progress as he moves on in his NFL career as well.
Yeah, I thought he got off to a slow start. Now, if you look at his box score, it's 1,624 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4. But there are times he looks pedestrian. And, if you look at the tape, you see a player that's made a lot of wonderful plays. He's done a really good job staying unbeaten. You look back at the Syracuse game, he had 442 yards, 3 touchdowns, ran for another 52 yards on the ground. Now, he's likely going to be the second pick in the draft after Caleb Williams. And, you look at the Bucs, you look at the Raiders. I'm sure that, if you're the Bears and you got the first and second pick, you're probably going to take, we'll see what happens with Justin Fields, but you can probably take Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair him up with DJ Moore on the outside. But I do think Maye is the guy that he's probably going to start from day one, and that means you're going to a bad team. And you're probably in a rebuild. Probably if Josh McDaniels gets blown out, you're going to have a new head coach and a new general manager. Right. So it's going to be interesting. But, he ranks 15th among starters with pressures, according to Pro Football Focus, and his offenses find ways for Tar Heels to have talent. So I think he can figure out defenses. And Bill Parcells really has a rule. First of all, you should not be a celebrity if you're a quarterback. Number 2, you should have over 35 starts. And when you start looking at, guys that have played at least 3 years, what agents are doing when you're drafted in the first round, they're saying we want to work on that second contract. So guys that play, prime example is Brock Purdy. I mean, he has over 40 starts in college. And look what he's done. And, Brian Greasy gets a ton of credit because he watched every single throw, and he's the one that told John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Now, every team passed on him a few times, but Brock Purdy's a prime example. Unfortunately, you get Anthony Richardson, Mitch Trubisky. They don't play there's not a lot of starts, so you can't expect expectations right away.
Absolutely. So getting into number 1, we got Caleb Williams out of USC. Mike mentioned the Las Vegas Raiders who could potentially draft him. We got the Arizona Cardinals, of course, the Chicago Bears, our team who could have one of those top picks, because Caleb Williams is one of the best prospects ever. This is a guy who we're probably going to be talking about a lot over these next 10 to 20 years. And I do want to go on the record and say I believe he is the best prospect we've ever seen in the NFL. Is a guy who can make every single throw you want him to make. His mobility is up there with anyone. He can maneuver inside the pocket, make plays outside the pocket, run for first downs, run for touchdowns, break tackles with his legs, and then his arm talent's through the roof as well. So there's really nothing that you cannot see him do. And one thing about Caleb Williams that sticks out to me is just the lack of talent at USC, especially on the defensive side of the ball. He knows every single game he's going to have to put up 50 points, and he does it time and time again. And to me, it just shows how special he really is, because even when they get in a game where he doesn't bring his A game, they're down 17-0, he's still coming back, he's still leading his team, and he's the one making the plays to get them back in the game. And it just shows what he's truly capable of. It doesn't matter what's around him, what is the defense that he's working with, he's going to do what he has to do. And it just reminds me of who the best quarterback in the NFL is. And that's why he's getting those Patrick Mahomes comparisons.
And despite Lincoln Riley's long tenure of being a great quarterback whisperer and having all these great quarterbacks in his system, there's no doubt that he could be a great quarterback in any system, in any team throughout college football and throughout the NFL. He is an NFL-ready quarterback right now. He even runs like Patrick Mahomes. A lot of things that he does is very Patrick Mahomes-esque, from just the arm angles, from the breaking tackles, from extending plays, from hitting deep shots, over the media. He can do every single thing on the football field. And like Rob said, I think he's the unquestioned one of the greatest quarterback prospects we have ever seen.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I mean, they got a lot of talent there. I mean, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's projected to be Patrick Mahomes. We've seen Aaron Rodgers. He's a Hall of Famer. So I'm not going to go there. He's got to earn it. They're going, a lot of these teams are going to a gunfight with a knife, and they got talent at the NFL level. He will not run around like that, just like Kyler Murray. So I'm not going to project that he's going to be the greatest. We heard the same thing about Jamarcus Russell. He had the best pro day in NFL history. And where's he at right now? Probably, drinking that purple drink somewhere, just chilling out. Anyways, I like his upside. The thing about Lincoln Riley, all these guys win the Heisman. He's never won a national championship. You know what I mean? From that standpoint, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, all these Jalen Hurts, all these guys, it's great. But yeah, I mean, it's again, he's going to go to a bad team. I mean, we got to admit this. And his father's saying, well, everything we've done in life, we've controlled the situation. Well, I know he's making money with the off the field, probably close to $3 million. He's going to get $50 million, okay? And is he going to sit out? He could sit out a year. Great. But Matt Barkley did that. He drafted a 4th round. So I don't buy what his father's saying. He should go in the draft, but he's going to go to a bad team, and it's not going to be easy. Just look at, Bryce Young right now. He's going to a bad team. So, the jury's still out, but I do like his upside. I do think there's traits. Traits are different than compared comps. Traits, he does have traits of Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes wasn't the first pick in the draft. I mean, he put up 45 points with Cliff Kingsbury, but they couldn't stop water there. So he has similar traits, but I'm not going to use the comp that they're the same similar athletes.
No, that's some great points. I mean, the Pac-12 has some really bad defenses outside of the Utahs of the world, and he does have some really good weapons at the wide receiver position. Freshman Zachariah Branch, they have another really good wide receiver out there as well at USC. And like I said, the system is really built for the quarterback to thrive. So it's going to be interesting seeing him go to a bad team, like you said, adjusting to a new system and still balling out the same way he has in college.
Yeah, we've seen recently with Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, we've seen top quarterbacks come into the league and immediately turn a franchise around if they have the right pieces around them. We think Caleb Williams, maybe Drake Maye, maybe some other guys on this list are capable of doing that. So these are the top 5 quarterback prospects in the 2024 draft. Really appreciate Mike coming on. You can listen to him on the Arizona Daily Football Podcast. You can get it on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can find Mike spitting facts about the Cardinals, giving great insights into the game of football.
Mike knows his stuff. Make sure to tune in. So thankful for having Mike on the show. And that's our top 5.
Yeah, Mike, anything you want to add? Or
Yeah, I mean, we got a great game this week. Bo Nix, I don't know why people aren't talking about Bo Nix and Michael Pennix Jr. I guarantee you every team will have a scout at that game, and you'll see general managers make that trip because, again, Riley Leonard from Duke, you got Mike Pratt from Tulane, much like Hayden Hooker last year, a year ago. So and I like the kid at Oregon State who transferred from Clemson. I mean, Oregon State, he looks night and day, and Trevor Lawrence, it didn't happen overnight. Joe Burrow probably happened overnight, so it takes time. But I'm really impressed with this quarterback class. We're going to see. Just make sure you tune into that game between Oregon and Washington because it's going to be a shootout.
Pac-12 is loaded with quarterbacks, no question.
Absolutely. One of the best quarterback prospect classes of all time. Great to have Mike on the show, and we look forward to seeing you all next week for another great episode of The Countdown.
Before you go, make sure you hit that like and double tap that subscribe because we're coming back every single week with some fire content.
Absolutely. See you all next time.
Peace.